Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Road game for me, broadcasting from the Strip in Las Vegas at the illustrious New York
fabulous
hotel. The fabulous New York hotel. So you can tell they've redid the rooms, but they didn't bother redoing the halls. So you get into you're walking through the halls and you're like, oh, crack house. And you get into the room, you're like, oh, this is kind of nice. Little, you don't get too uppity staying at the New York.
Yeah. I have saved two people's lives in my life, and one of them was at the New York.
Saved a life.
I saved a life, a legit saved someone's life.
So you were going to have sex with a prostitute, but then you realized you had more STDs than hers and you didn't, therefore saving her life.
That's not exactly what happened.
3 lives.
It was going to be the back way, so it wasn't going to be another life. We weren't going to create another life. No. So I was pretty drunk, and I was walking from the huge bank at the time. They had a really big, just like where all the slot machines are. And I was walking to like the food court, and there was the pizza place. Everyone wants to get the pizza, right? Mm-hmm. Walking in, and there's a family, right? Mom, dad, kid, probably around 12-ish or so, maybe 10, little daughter. The mom just jumps up. Oh my God. And the dad has the kid around the waist, and he's kind of like just shaking him back and forth. A little chubbier kid, but he's like kind of shaking him back and forth. Okay. And the kid's like this, eyes are huge, and he's just like, and I'm just assuming that the kid's choking, probably on a pizza crust or something. And I just kind of like walk over there, one good thrust. And, when you like see it on TV and in the movies and shit, someone giving someone the Heimlich and like, oh, the piece of steak came out. Oh, wow, that's fucking amazing. Not like that at all. Like the pizza crust came out and like a bunch of orange soda and like a bunch of everything else that had in his stomach came out. Like that's what really happens when you give someone a really good, a really good one. A bunch of other shit came out too. And I thought balloons and confetti were going to fall and like people were going to pat me on the back. Nothing. No thank you for that. I mean, the parents were worried about their kid and shit, but like nothing. Nobody from dude. If I'm counting
your priorities are in the right place. You're like, I saved a life, and then I was ready for my parade and maybe a statue in my honor.
Something. Something.
So dude, it wasn't even worth saving the kid's life then because you didn't get any thanks for it.
I can't drop a pill into a chick's drink without the fucking eye in the sky fucking catching me, right? But I save a kid's fucking life in the middle of the fucking casino and nothing. Now, here's what did happen, though.
Okay.
To the left, I don't know if it's still there, but at the time where they have all the aged steaks right there, there's a little bar, and there's a bartender right there. I don't know. I think it's that. Well, there's a little bar, like a little, just kind of like maybe like a 6-foot bar. The bartender's like this, like, he's all, come here. He pours me a shot. Huh. Well, thank you.
So
I got a shot out of it.
It was, so that kid's life is worth 1 shot of well whiskey.
That's what yeah.
You should have gotten the card from the parents and like checked up on the kid like 10 years later. And then if he was like a neuroscientist or like a heart surgeon, like he discovered like a new medication that like saves like kids from dying from cancer, and you're like, yeah, I did that. Or you go the other way and it turns out being like some serial killer, and then like you're partially to blame. Like I want to keep track of that.
Nah,
no,
you look like a little shit dick.
You got your.
I got some orange soda on my shoe. I was like, fuck, I just got these.
Orange soda.
It was disgusting, bro. It was a lot.
End of summer, or I guess beginning of August. The Raiders are in the Hall of Fame game. Woo! They'll be taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars and the extra preseason game that comes with being in the Hall of Fame. August 4th. They'll get to see Cliff Branch and Richard Seymour get inducted. And it was also, and everyone's talked about it since the announcement, but it's kind of cool that Josh McDaniels actually played his home high school football games at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium back when it was known at Fawcett Stadium. So he's literally going back to his high school football field and coaching the Raiders in the Hall of Fame game. Talk about full circle.
You say you can never go home again, but JMD has proven that wrong.
He's doing it. That's kind of cool. What do you make of it's like the odds for the Hall of Fame game already came out. It's like, if you don't even know who your backup quarterback is, like, how can you play? Like, who's going to be our Nathan Peterman this preseason? Like, John Gruden would give him $1 million every year just to play all the preseason snaps. These are the big questions. You know, they've got Derek Carr's contract. Who's our number one wide receiver? Next priority, who's going to play all our preseason snaps?
It's going to be Hunter Renfrow, baby. They're going to throw him back there. He'll be slinging that pigskin, baby.
Oh, I see people getting pissed off enough that he returns punts for injury. Imagine if he was back there, like, taking snaps.
Ugh. With that offensive line that we have, we don't address some shit. Ooh.
Some undrafted defensive ends trying to make the roster by killing Hunter Renfrow.
Hell no.
So that's kind of cool, Hall of Fame game. It's nice that it's like an extra week of work. You know what I mean? Just kind of extra week of like reps, an extra preseason game. Just especially with a brand new coach, brand new coaching staff, brand new GM.
Can't hurt.
Like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take an extra like important week of work. Like, it feels a little bit more serious that week of practice.
Yeah.
That's basically all it is to me. An extra week of practice for a brand new coaching staff.
Yep. Sounds good to me, man.
So the combine's going on in Indianapolis. And when the combine happens, you know, it's wall-to-wall coverage on NFL Network, wall-to-wall coverage, everything football, just because the NFL is king. And every time, you know, Roger Goodell farts, it's front page news on ESPN. But my favorite thing about the combine is you're getting all the coaches, all of the GMs, all these personnel people, all crossing hallways together, drinking at the same bar afterwards, just being around each other and talking, right? How's this trade? How's that player? Blah, 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 blah. And you've got media swarming them around as well, and you get all kinds of interviews. So really, that's like all I really pay attention to at the combine. Like, it's cool to see like some dude running a 4.2 40 or some lineman bench pressing like 67 reps of 225. Like, that's always cool. But to me, it's all about like the news that comes out of the combine. That's what's important to me.
Yeah. I mean, the first few days are all about the interviews, not just the players, but every single GM, every single head coach, some coordinators, but like they're doing all the interviews with all the media, but they're also doing all the interviews with ESPN, NFL Network, all those to do. It's all the media scrum. Everyone's doing the whole thing, the car wash.
Yeah,
just going bouncing from here to there, bounce, answering all the questions. Kind of like some people are a little bit more diplomatic than others. Some people are a little bit more forthright than others. Some people, you know, like to play games through the media more than others, and you kind of get a little bit of a sense of who's who. These are the first couple of days of the combine.
So Josh McDaniels has been one of the guys that's been running through the car wash, as you mentioned. It makes sense that Josh McDaniels is doing all these interviews because, again, first year as the Raiders head coach, first time being a head coach in over a decade. You know, can he wash out the bad taste of what he was like with the Broncos and offensive coordinator with the Rams, right? He needs to prove that he wasn't just a product of the Patriot system. He's a guy that can do it on his own. So he's out there, pound the pavement, talking into microphones. And he addressed basically every single player on the roster where there's any sort of question mark. A lot of Derek Carr, some Josh Jacobs was talked about, some Max Crosby was talked about, defensive schemes were talked about. But one of the most polarizing guys to talk about, maybe second most polarizing behind Derek Carr, is Alex Leatherwood, our first-round pick from last season. It was a reach. It was a stretch. Tom Cable wanted him. Thought we could make something of him, and he was bad last season. Could have been worse. He started all the games, got a little bit better as the season went on. Decent run blocker. Pass defense was atrocious. So Josh McDaniels was asked during his press conference about Alex Leatherwood. Where is he going to go? Tackle or guard? Here's what he had to say.
I see him as a guy that played a lot of football. You know, there's a lot to evaluate. Playing as many games as he did as a rookie. There's good and there's bad, but when you're that young, you look at it as what can we work with, what can we fix. There's a lot to do in that process. I've already spoken to him. That process is underway, and I think what we'll end up doing is whatever's best for the Raiders you know, he's shown the ability to play, you know, in both spots. You know, more guard last year than tackle, but we see him being a contributor. We see him being a guy that we're really excited to work with. We're going to try to get the most out of him.
So about as non-committal as you can be about your.
I have a question. He's shown the ability to play tackle? I didn't see that.
In a couple games, sort of.
I didn't see that at all.
A disability to play tackle?
I didn't see that. I mean, maybe he was being nice, but I didn't see his ability to play tackle whatsoever.
I mean, again, like everything is coach speak, right? Like you haven't even met him, probably. Like he's probably talked to him on the phone, texted him, seen some footage of him, hasn't met the guy. You don't want to immediately bury the dude, right? Like, oh, he blew it last year. Like he has to be twice as good to even sniff a starting lineup this season. You're not going to bury him that way.
There's things you can say to actually say something but actually give some substance. You know what I'm saying?
The gist I got was the part that was most telling to me was like, we're going to do what's best for the Raiders, right? And whether that's him at tackle, whether that's him at guard, whether that's him not starting, that's what I got from it. It's like, we're going to do what's best for the Raiders, number one. And I don't think he said anything untrue. Like he showed some good and some bad, a lot of bad. And he's a guy that we're going to, and he was originally brought on as a project. And so he's kind of staying as a project. He's like, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do with this guy, which is what we all kind of knew he would be. Now, does that work come to fruition and he's a great lineman for us? Hopefully. But all we know is the work's going to happen and the end result's going to be up to Leatherwood.
Yeah, during my one-on-one show over the weekend, someone's like, "Oh yeah, Leatherwood is Robert Gallery." I'm like, "No. Robert Gallery was a Pro Bowl guard. If Leatherwood ends up being a Pro Bowl guard, I will fucking be ecstatic. Don't like, and plus he was a left guard. He was a better guard. Like he was on the harder side. No, don't even make that comparison at all. If Leatherwood ends up becoming anything near to Robert Gallery, it was still a reach, but I'll go for that. I don't think Leatherwood is anywhere near that at this point in his career, or to what Gallery ended up becoming. I don't think he's going to be a tackle. I think you have to look at a couple things. He's gotten really, really, really good coaching in his career. He's gotten top-notch coaching in college, and the mistakes that he's making, these are mistakes that just sometimes you just can't. Like I use the example in the show over the weekend. It's like this: if you're 15 years old and you just kind of stick your dish in the sink and don't wash it, you'll be 55 just doing the same thing. You can be told over and over again, just like at least run a little water on the dish. You don't have to wash it, just do something. It's like you could be the same 65, 95 and still be doing the same thing. It's just sometimes you just have that block. It's the things that Leatherwood was doing, the mistakes he was making were so day one mistakes mechanically that he was making, just getting his pads over his toes, like his shoulders over his nose over his toes, just reaching so far, and just like it's day one balance and day one just leverage that he could not play outside of tackle. It's just like, how did you survive? He just survived on athletic ability in college.
Yeah, and the silver lining to all this, we've seen that happen before, where guys at lower levels just completely lean on athleticism, and that can get them drafted, and they get to the NFL and they're like, all right, I got to get my act together. Like I got to change things up. We also see the other side where they never figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So like history has proven like it can go either way. The big telling thing for me is I hope Josh McDaniels knows what he's going to do with them sooner than later, because that's going to drastically dictate what happens, how they see at the combine, who they draft, who they pick up at free agency. If they're like, all right, we're going to make him a guard, then we are in desperate need of starting right tackle. They're like, okay,
Dude,
we think he's improved enough to play right tackle. All right, then we're in desperate need of a guard, right? Like Richie Incognito's too old, right? Denzel Good, hopefully we pick him back up again. I liked him much better as a swing because he can play both guards, both tackles. And we know, linemen get hurt. So like whatever they decide to do, hopefully they know what that is quick so we can start building our personnel. Because he's going to start. Like he's going to start next season. He's a first round. Even if he's not good.
Look, here's the thing. I wouldn't bank that. I'm not saying he's not going to, but I wouldn't be so like definite and say he's gonna start, because this is a new regime now and it's not their guy. And if you could go up and say, look, I understand he was a first round pick, but he's not ready. He may be ready, but this is my ass on the line now. I can bench him and have it be okay because he wasn't my pick. I have no skin in the game when it comes to Alex Leatherwood. I'm trying to build the best team I'm trying to put the best team. Now, if he was just bad mechanically and got beat mechanically, that's one thing. But he's also a knucklehead and he makes a lot of dumb penalties. Yeah. That's another thing too. If he continues to do that in the preseason, I guarantee you, Josh McDaniels is not going to stand for that. He's not going to stand for dumb penalties, and he's not going to see the field.
First rounders get every benefit of the doubt.
Not when it's a new regime,
even with
man.
second regimes. Dude,
look.
And also it's like
new regime.
Who else is there too? Is the other part.
But that's the thing is he's gonna get people out there. Look, you can be not as good talent-wise physically, but if you know what you're doing and you don't make dumb penalty mistakes, you're still better off with that guy than the talented guy who gets beat and who makes silly mistakes penalty-wise.
I'm with you. I'm just saying historically.
But that's what I'm saying.
Historically, we can both agree. First rounders get every benefit of the doubt. Whether he uses up his third, fourth, and fifth chance is yet to be seen.
But the game completely changes when there's a new regime. It's not just a new coach; it's a new GM as well. The slate is completely clean on everybody on the team. Everybody on the team is okay. Best players play. Whoever gives me the best chance to win, because now it's my ass on the line. The other guy, whatever the decisions they made, that's on them. That's not on me.
We'll see what happens if they go big on guard and tackle in the offseason.
The good thing is this draft is huge for offensive linemen. Yeah. There's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft.
And late, too. We can get decent. We can get some starters late.
You can get guys in the third, fourth round better than guys that went in the second round last year.
Well, one of the guys that obviously got the bulk of
the
Josh
first
McDaniels'
round
attention,
ours,
right? Well, the guy that got the bulk of Josh McDaniels' questions at the Combine this week was obviously Derek Carr.
The hell you say?
What are the odds, right? This is my shocked face. Can you see my shocked face? This is what my shocked face looks like. He was asked straight up on the NFL Network, because they've been dabbling, right? Like in the pressers and stuff, you get questions about Carr. It's always kind of the same.
Fuck around, bro.
It's always kind of the same question, right? It's like, well, what do you think of him? What are you going to do about him? Like, what do you make of this? And they asked him straight up at the desk.
I laughed my ass off.
Well, finally, we got a direct question. But you listen to this answer and tell me if it's a direct answer.
You say definitively, barring injury, Derek Carr's your starting quarterback week 1.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I really am excited about this opportunity to work together. I know what he's done, and I know what we might be able to do going forward together, and that's what really excites me. Looking forward to building that process as we go into April, May, June, July, and continue to grow together. It's really an important relationship, the head coach, the quarterback, the play caller, the quarterback. There's got to be a synergy there, and I believe that we're on our way to doing that.
How bad did your heart hurt when he said for sure Carr's the starter?
Not at all.
Did you want to throw your Raider hat in the garbage right away?
No. I knew that this was going to be Carr was a reason that he came on board. It's a standard answer. It's just what I expected him to say.
And very different from the Leatherwood answer, right? Like,
for sure. I mean, people wanted to. I heard people I saw on like, when he said, "Oh, sure," no, he said, "Sure" to definitively. Can you say, "Sure"? Yeah, I'm going to say it because he's our quarterback. Yeah. And when he said about the thing about the other thing that wasn't so like solid was, I know what he can do in the system is because he hasn't seen Carr work in the system. So he knows what Carr can be if Carr executes. That's what he meant by, I know what he can be in this system.
Admit it, part of you was like, he wanted him to say like, no, we're packaging him and 2 first rounders and we're going to get Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. I don't even know if that would be enough. No, yeah, but I mean, I totally expect Carr to be the starter, I mean, like as they said, barring injury, God forbid. But yeah, I mean, he's the starter. You know, he's a legit starting quarterback in the NFL. He's your starter. You know, and he wouldn't have come over if that was a position that was in flux.
I wonder if we're gonna finally have a actual season of football with Derek Carr where the media isn't constantly questioning if Carr is going to get traded or going to get cut or going to get benched or whatever. Because it was always that way with Gruden. And we talked about it a million times, like regardless of what you, I, or any fans think of Derek Carr, John Gruden made it very clear that Derek Carr was his guy.
To the team's detriment. Like he never drafted a quarterback, which he should have. You should draft a quarterback at least every other year just to have a young quarterback that you're not paying a ton of money to, you know, just to develop somebody. And we're paying the price now.
Gruden's quarterback roster management was so bad.
Damn.
Thank God we were able to renegotiate Mariota's contract for last season, save a couple bucks. But like you're getting the highest paid backup quarterback who gets hurt literally every season and doesn't play your system. Like that's your backup quarterback. And then you're going to pay Nathan Peterman $1 million a season to play in the preseason. It's like, what terrible, man. I said so many times, I'm down to draft a quarterback all the time, develop, see if we can find somebody. And then we're not in a position where it's literally Derek Carr or nothing.
See if you can hit on a Kirk Cousins or a Dak Prescott later, a guy in the 4th round. Like you could pick up a guy see if you hit on somebody.
Yep.
You know, it's like,
or
you got to draft them.
At least have a backup quarterback that can do your system and be less than $1 million, right? Like,
God damn,
which is such weird management. So it's like, so that was part of it too, right? Was just Gruden was just terrible at managing his quarterback roster, and so everyone thought, oh man, is Carr gonna be the guy? Carr gonna be the guy. I'm hoping that we can at least get through one season without every single Carr question being, oh, is McDaniels going to trade him? Is Ziegler going to trade him? Is he going to be gone? Like,
I think that those questions will stop once he gets extended.
Yeah.
Once they extend him for whatever they extend him for, they'll extend him, whether it's a, 2 or 3 or 4 year extension on top of the year he already has. Those questions will stop because you don't come in as a new regime and then extend the quarterback if you don't plan on keeping that guy. Now, depending on Carr's play, if Carr isn't, if he doesn't play up to the standard, then those questions can come up after that. But this first year, if they extend him in the offseason, they're not going to have any more questions.
We'll learn a lot based on what they do at backup quarterback. Like if they go and get like I don't know who's that, like a Jameis Winston or something like that, right? Like a guy who's been a starter.
Jameis is going to start, dude.
Or someone like that. That's what I mean. Like someone who started is going to cost you $5, $6, $7 million. If they do that, then it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. If their best backup is like a 4th round rookie, then that tells us something different, right? So whatever they do at backup or 3rd string is going to tell me a lot about what they think is going to happen. Because McDaniels isn't afraid to do something crazy. Like remember, like you drafted Tim Tebow. You know what I mean? Like he's not afraid to do something unpopular or weird if he thinks it's the way to go.
That's page 1 in what I did wrong in Denver. In his little booklet, his little pamphlet.
He says he has a pamphlet. It's just literally just pages of Tim Tebow's pictures and like just gifs of his throwing mechanics, like he's shot putting. Well, speaking of Derek Carr's extension, Josh McDaniels spoke on that as well at the Combine. Also wishy-washy, but here, I'll let you listen to it and then we'll talk about it.
I've met and spoken to Derek a number of times now, just trying to begin our relationship. I think it's really an important one. The head coach, the play caller, the quarterback, getting to know one another as people, kind of how we think, how we work. The football part of that will come later, which I think is also an important part. We're aware of where things are, and again, as I said when I was introduced, I'm really looking forward to working with him. He's won a lot of games. I feel good about what we can do with Derek as our quarterback.
First takeaway, and he said this in multiple interviews, multiple pressers. Every time he's asked about Derek Carr, he's just talked about like, yeah, he's a great guy. I love talking to him, and we'll eventually get to football. It's like you've been head coach for a month now, and you haven't talked any 1X or 1-0 with Derek Carr. It's like
I don't know if they can yet until the league seasons, the league year starts, right?
You can talk. You can't coach him, but you can talk on the phone, right?
I think he's playing the game.
Yeah,
I think he's playing the game. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Overhyping. It's like, oh yeah, he's such a man of faith. That's what I really want to talk about.
I think he's playing the game because he technically can't coach him until the league year starts.
Tell me about your relationship with God. I don't really care about, how you want to throw a fade route. It's more important to me. Tell me about your kids. You got any pictures of your kids?
The opening scene in Friday. Are you prepared for Jesus' return? Because if you not, the Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on his door.
The second part about that is he talks about how excited he is. And again, when you're in negotiations with literally $100 million on the line, you don't give stuff up. You don't say, he's our guy no matter what. I can't wait to play with him. Oh, but you don't do that. And you don't bury him to go the other way because you got to work with him, right? You can't say like, well, if he plays hardball, we'll move on. We have no problem getting somebody else. You can't say that either because you got to work with the guy every day. So in the public, you've got to kind of come out with just generic coach speak. But I will say that every single time he's discussed him, it's been overall really, really positive.
Yeah, it is lying season, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The off season is lying season, so I am very intrigued by his pronouns, pal. By Josh McDaniels, his coach speak is very nice. Like he'll give it to you straight sometimes, but he'll kind of like be a little coy at others. I mean, he's like a burlesque dancer. He'll give you a little something and he'll take it away.
He's got tassels on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, with when I think of his he'll break his coach speak if you're direct, right? And sometimes it's hard to do that in a press conference environment. Like I've been on that side of a presser, and it's when you've got a microphone and the media guys like giving you a mic for 1 second, and you're just quickly trying to go through it, and the guy's 20 feet away. It's harder to be direct with guys. But when you're at the desk, like he was with NFL Network, you can be like, is he going to be the starter? You can get more direct answers, right?
Yeah.
And so
tell us about Monica Lewinsky.
Right? I did not have sexual relations with that. Remember that thumb was like a thing for a while.
Dude, that was a thing.
That was a thing. It's like I really, really am serious, but you all know I'm lying.
It's like you have to get that forward eye at him, like
yeah, little side eye.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah, like the Bill Clinton eye. So like with again with that comment from Josh McDaniels, when I think of like what McDaniels can do here on his end, mostly Dave Ziegler, right? Because he's the GM, and obviously Mark Davis is going to have to sign that check. So there's going to be multiple people involved with this conversation. Clearly, it definitely seems like it just feels to me like a negotiation that's going to go smoothly. Every negotiation with stakes that high, there's going to be some tension. There's, you're going to butt heads naturally, right?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, like you're going to butt some heads. But I don't see anything going on like what's going on in like Arizona.
Hell no.
I don't see
too many feelings. They got too many feelings involved.
Yeah, like Seattle, Green Bay. You see all these quarterbacks just like making stinks about it. Like the way McDaniels talks about him, the way we've heard Davis talk about him. And then here's Derek Carr on that whole situation. Carr talked to the Las Vegas Review Journal, and he's talking about Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler. Derek Carr said, they've been super awesome. They've been great. I'm just looking forward to getting to know them. We're doing the whole business relationship thing, but hopefully we can get our families together, start getting to know each other, and start building that unity that we had last year. So this sounds like an entire squad of guys that are committed to making this family part work. And honestly, that's how it should be, right? Like Josh McDaniels, he has to think of salary cap. He has to think of pay. Like, even though he's not GM, it has to be in the back of his mind. But you don't want your quarterback thinking about that. Let his agent deal with it. Let his agent deal with it. Let the suits deal with it. Let the lawyers deal with it. It's awesome how like Derek Carr is just like, no, I want to get to know him, know how he thinks, know how he works, build a relationship, and let's win. And then we'll let the guys with ties handle all that money stuff.
Yeah, they'll come up to you with the numbers and be like, "Hey, this is what we decided for you. What do you think?" What's Derek Carr going to say? No, I want like 10 million more. Like, no, he's gonna be all right. Cool. That's what you guys agreed upon, and you think it's fair. You're getting a chunk of this too. So if you think it's fair, yeah, let's do it. Because yeah, I mean, the conversations they've had to have had is, hey, you know what? You're the starter. You're our guy. This is what we want. This is what we have in mind for the team. And kind of like what I said before Mick Ziegler was even hired is you get a football guy in there, you get a head coach, you get them on the same page, you sit down, you look at the roster, and you evaluate where is each player right now. Where do you see them? You evaluate them moving forward. Where do you see them in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Where do you see the team moving forward? Where do you see your game plan, your offense? Where do you see your defense? How do you want a game plan moving forward? And you have that conversation with Carr. Hey, this is what we see. This is what we want to do with you. This is what we see with the pieces that we have. This is what we want to add. What do you think? And have that conversation. And that's the whole business conversation that they probably had, talking about kind of like that whole penthouse view of everything. And then once they can talk about more things and, start talking about specific guys, I'm sure they'll ask questions about different players and what they like. Because, I mean, when you're looking to hire someone, when you're looking to draft somebody, it's always like, okay, this is what we're looking for in certain players. This is the kind of model we're looking for in a certain player that we want to draft. This is the kind of character we like. This is the kind of person we like. This is their practice habits and all this other stuff, right? So which one of these players fit into what we want, and then we go from there. But that's the little granular level. But yeah, they've had those conversations already.
One of the good things, and I've been said on the show multiple times, like, I'm sick of the Raiders being run purely as a ma and pa shop. Where
it's not
like,
that way anymore. It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, like it's like there are benefits to it, but it shouldn't be overwhelmingly like every single guy in the front office was, an intern at one point. Like, bring in a Fortune 5 CEO to be your CFO or something like that, right? The benefits of having like pure football guys is they understand how important it is to have like a team unity and feeling, right? Like Josh McDaniels, son of a football coach, right? Derek Carr, pure football guy. Like Ziegler, pure football guy. Like, these are guys that understand like what got us to the playoffs last season. We weren't more talented. We weren't better coached. We just had team unity. Like, we were all
played together.
We were all rowing the boat in unison. And that's how important it is. And when you start off a season with like, if this were Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or like other quarterbacks, like, this could be an ugly part of our preseason. Like, we're just talking about like, Derek Carr deleted all his Raiders stuff on his Instagram and his agent sent out a letter to everybody. Like, that could easily be a part of our preseason. But because everyone involved are football guys and they understand like, look, that will be taken care of, but it is priority number one for us to be a cohesive unit. We're seeing that right now. Like, this instance could be so ugly if it were other GMs, other coaches, other quarterbacks, but because of this crew, it's like, nope, it's smooth. We'll figure it out. Let's just worry about winning football and being a team.
Yeah, just because you have a little bit more kind of a corporate experience doesn't mean you can't have a mom and pop feel.
Yeah.
You can still have those one-on-one relationships. Now, you can't have them with every single person, but the more important people on your squad, yeah, you can have those relationships still.
So speaking of other quarterbacks, Spotrac has a list of quarterbacks that are like their market values currently and kind of where they stand, right? So this isn't current contracts so much. It's just kind of like, all right, this is what we kind of think things project to be. And you got the list, right? No surprise. Aaron Rodgers, very top of the list. His value, 46 mil. Lamar Jackson, second highest. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, Tom Brady's out. Other guys have kind of not played great. Kyle Murray, which we know he's got, like, currently as we're talking about, is having a really ugly back and forth with the Cardinals. Russell Wilson, not happy. Justin Herbert, young stud. Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champ. Joe Burrow, the next big thing. And then at number 8, they've got Derek Carr, projecting him at $36 million. They're projecting a 4-year, $144 million deal.
Yeah, about 36. That's what I told you. About 35-ish. 36 is about right.
Yeah.
That's about right. That's what I said. The 40 seemed a bit rich. I was hoping for around 30. The 30, but that's the thing. Again, I said the 30 would have been a hometown discount.
Yeah.
That would have been the discounted price. The 40 would have been a little rich. My boy Fang Vu, my boy, he likes to hate on me, but he's my boy. He said 50. I'm like, dude, you're fucking smoking that good crack, bro. But yeah, 36 is about where he's supposed to be, around there. But yeah.
Are you happy with the 4-year deal though? Because I know you wanted it shorter.
Fuck, that 4 years tough, man.
See, this is the hard part though. If you go 2 years, then he's gonna want 40, 42, something like that.
Well, you don't have to guarantee every single freaking dollar though.
Yeah, these aren't guaranteed numbers. But regardless of what that guaranteed number is, what the shorter the deal, generally the more money they want, right? Per season. If you lengthen it out, you do generally almost every single time.
Yeah,
you're able to pay less per season.
My issue is this, because I listened to your show on yesterday, and you addressed this issue about the quarterbacks last year, as far as kind of like the same tier quarterback that to Derek Carr and the movement, right? Well, now is you have a Kirk Cousins, you have a Tannehill, and you have a Carson Wentz. I don't see anyone breaking the doors down trying to get these guys away from their current teams, and they still have years and money left on their contract. So it's not like it's a guarantee that if Derek Carr doesn't perform up to standards of Mick Ziegler standards, that we're going to be able to move him and get really anything to speak of in return for him, because we're going to have years left and a bunch of money left on the contracts. That's my main concern.
But my point was that's already happened. Like Kirk Cousins already had the trade and the big money. Like Jimmy Garoppolo already had the trade and the big money. Like, even though it doesn't pan out, like, I don't care. Like, let's say Carr doesn't work out for the next 2 seasons with McDaniels and we want to trade him, right? I don't care if the people who get him have buyer's remorse. I just care that we get the value for him. And so that's my point, is like, you're looking at these guys that got traded and they have these big deals and the teams there aren't happy. Who gives a shit? Yeah, but I don't care if they're unhappy. I just want to make sure we got our value when we traded them.
No, but my issue is, if I'm trading for a veteran quarterback who's making a lot of money, I don't want him to have a ton of years left on that contract. I would rather have Derek Carr have a contract like he has now, even if it's more money, but I want him to have a shorter contract where I have the ability to extend him to a me-friendly contract. I don't want to have a mistake of another contract, because what were to happen if we need to redo a contract for Derek Carr next year to fit some cap number, right? And then what happens then? A freaking Matt Ryan issue where we have to keep pushing money back into the last couple of years. No team's going to want to have that cap headache on for a quarterback that their current team is looking to dump them. And we're not going to get the value back. But that's what I'm saying is, you have to look at that when doing the contract.
Okay, but
that's your escape. That's your escape plan.
Historically, the Raiders generally don't do that, right? They generally don't sell the future for the now. And neither does Ziegler. Neither does the Patriots. The Patriots are pretty good about making sure they're not in, future cap worry because they're going all in now. So
I don't think they're going to give him a 4-year deal then. I don't think they're going to give him a 4-year deal if that's the case. They would give him a shorter deal then, because that makes more team sense.
One thing I do think is going to happen is, I think in 2 seasons, Justin Herbert, this 42,
he doesn't get motherfucking paid, bro.
This $42 million, they're going to laugh at it.
Oh yeah,
they're going to want.
He's going to get a grip. Yeah,
and then the next season,
Joe
Burrow, they're going to laugh at that number.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be more than Herbert.
Yeah,
these young guns are getting
paid the big time.
Paid. God, I wish I was 6'2" and had giant palms. Sling a rock.
So I measured my hand because I guess fucking Pickett has like super small hands. like Derek Carr's like under 9-inch hands. I have like 10.25-inch hands. I guess that's like a good quarterback size hand.
It makes your dick look tiny, I bet.
I know, it
minuscule with
sucks.
the huge palms.
That was one of the things, honestly, in like high school. Like, we're like, hey man, what's up with that chick you did? No, tiny hands, bro. That's fucking huge.
Tiny hands. Yeah.
The
She can
little
go pepper. She can go pepper grinder with it.
Fucking pepper guy, both of the fucking little Indian rub on it.
You ready to do some what up windbags?
Show. Let's do it.
First one, Chris Kelly. This was the short that I did on when Hunter Renfrow was talking about how he chose to do things his way and not the Gruden way, and that's when he exploded and became a Pro Bowler. Chris Kelly, that's either really interesting or extremely ironic that Hunter actually hunts deer. I mean, dude, you don't have to actually kill deer just because your name is Hunter. You talked like because Hunter Renfrow was talking about how he figured this out when he was sitting in a deer stand. That's when he like had his come to Jesus moment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if all the Raider players went by like their names, like Divine Diablo, he was just like a
deity,
very fancy devil, and then Hunter Renfrow is just always hunting.
Max Crosby always listens to music really loud.
Alex Leatherwood is always dealing with like, what's it called when you're a leathersmith? He's always like tanning hides.
I don't know.
Making pelts, purses.
Yeah. That'll work.
That'll work.
Dude, I mean, what do you think he was just like sitting there with like, just kind of looking into space and just kind of like have his rifle in his freaking lap and just kind of like looking up with the little orange vest on?
Well, you got time, man. Like when you're hunting, like when you're sitting in a deer stand, you're sitting there, it's 4 a.m. You got your coffee. Sometimes you're by yourself or sometimes you're with someone close and you're waiting hours to
get your coffee.
Right? And you're just like he doesn't, I don't think he drinks. He's probably not drinking in the morning, right? It's like, I doubt he has like his iPad in, listen to like NPR. He's probably just sitting there with his thoughts. And that's why that's a big appeal of hunting is just like, get away, like clear your mind, get in nature. It's like, it's camping, but you end up with some, 80 pounds of meat at the end. So it's just like, it's just one of those clear your mind moments for people.
Speaking of hunting, my aunt lives in Toronto, and in the like woods outside of Toronto, they have a bunch of, they're overrun with elk. I think we should go hunt some elk, and we should get the meat shipped back.
Sign me up.
I'm down.
I've never been
Let's
hunting.
do it.
I always wanted to.
I've been hunting before, and I got fucked up in like the first hour because it was boring as shit. I was just sitting there like, I'm fucking bored. What do you want to do? Crack another beer? All right, sweet.
That's why you got to sit there and think about your route running like Hunter Renfrow. Make it productive. You'll have an epiphany. You know what I'm saying? It's like doing ayahuasca in Joshua Tree, except the Hunter Renfrow way. Skywalker OG 23. This is also referring to the Hunter Renfrow video. Shitty coaches are coaches who want it their way or the highway. And this got me thinking because level playing field, all things being equal, it's clearly a massive benefit for a coach that's very flexible, that can completely adjust what he's doing based on personnel, based on who his GM is, based on who his coordinators are, based on all kinds of circumstances. But we've seen coaches be really successful who just stick to one thing, because there's something to be said about specializing, right? There's something to be said about like Thomas Jefferson. He was able to like set a bone, hunt, build a log cabin, help write the Constitution, know law inside and out, like deliver a baby. Like these guys are Renaissance men. Like they were able to do everything. Now they didn't really specialize in anything because they're so busy doing everything, right? Whereas in today, we're super specialized. Like I couldn't do anything Thomas Jefferson did, but I can talk into a microphone a lot better than he ever could because that's basically all I do, right? So to that point, it's like, yeah, John Gruden sticking to only doing what he did certainly reared its ugly head at times. But when he got all his ducks in a row, he won a Super Bowl. And like Pete Carroll notoriously plays football one way. And he won national titles at UFC. He won a Super Bowl in Seattle, right? So it can work. It's just, I feel like the stars have to align better than for a more flexible coach.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that shitty coaches are coaches who want it their way or the highway. It's shitty coaches are unaware of themselves. I think that shitty coaches don't admit when they need to adjust. Is that their way or the highway necessarily? I wouldn't say that, but I've known people who are very I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say the word stubborn, but very rigid, but they do take input. Does that input always matter, or does it change things? Maybe not right away, but it may adjust things in the future. They may not implement those suggestions right away, though. But I mean, it's a pretty broad statement, and I don't know if that's necessarily correct.
Well, and to Gruden's credit, clearly he let Hunter Renfrow be different, right? Like he could, if he was super stubborn, he'd be like, "No, run this run exactly this way, or you're benched." Because Renfrow,
not going to play.
Renfrow did change how he played, and he kept playing, and he stayed the starter and played better, right? So clearly Gruden wasn't that big of a stickler about it if he allowed guys to find their own way and said, whether he discouraged it behind closed doors or not, the fact is that Renfrow did things different, and Gruden kept playing him. So there's some flexibility there at least.
So there you go.
Last one, VL8962. Soto thought this was marriage counseling. This was a comment under the interview that we did with Steve Cofield, where I feel like when we have an interview, we're in a relationship, and the interviewer and the relation, instead of a marriage, it's Derek Carr, and then we kind of put it on the interviewer to pick sides, find common ground, keep us from killing each other. Little did we know that Cofield doesn't do that. He wants us to basically pull out our verbal sword and put them to each other's throats.
I think he tied it with me, though.
I think he really wanted to get under my skin because I was co-hosting his show that next Friday. I co-host sometimes on his show, Cofield and Company in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wanted to get me fired up.
Did it work?
A little bit.
Fucking Steve, you're the man.
A little bit.
He is an icon, a Las Vegas icon.
Steve is great. Steve is great at letting you bury yourself. Like RJ, when we were having beers last night, you said this about your boss. Was that what you meant?
Steve, what a buster. God damn,
he won't say it, but he'll let you bury yourself. That's the sign of a veteran radio host. All right, that's it for us. So we've been fiddling with our format. We went just one long YouTube video of our entire show, and some people liked it. And then we changed to doing just little clips, and the entire show is available on our as a podcast, right? iTunes, Spotify, wherever. You can listen to the entire show on the podcast. And then we started chopping up the segments so people can just find exactly what they want from the show and just watch that. So now we said, screw it, we're going to do both. So we're going to leave the entire show on YouTube that you just watched right now, and we're also going to have clips. So it's more work for us, but it's a better way to give all of you the easiest way to watch and listen to what you want, when you want, and how you want it. We're very generous lovers. We'll do the work. You just have to lay back and enjoy.
Ooh, I like that.
On that note, knock on wood if you're with me.